If you've been following the laptop market recently, you already know the brand new $599 MacBook Neo has completely taken over the industry since it launched in March. But according to highly reliable supply chain reports, Apple's budget masterclass is facing a massive, unexpected problem. Let's separate the real leaks from the noise. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I was just digging through the latest verified tech reports this morning, and the situation with Apple's entry-level MacBook is absolutely fascinating. Forget the wild rumors you might have heard on the forums about an emergency early release. Today we are breaking down the absolute facts of what is happening right now, why it matters, and what we reliably know about the upcoming MacBook Neo 2. And knowing that you are experienced, tech-savvy professionals who do deep research before buying expensive gadgets and absolutely hate cheap hype, we are going to stick strictly to the silicon realities. To understand the future of this laptop and why Apple is currently sweating, we have to look at how they managed to make the first generation so incredibly cheap. Normally, Apple hardware comes with a massive premium, the kind of Apple tax we have all begrudgingly paid for decades. But they managed to drop a highly capable Mac for under $600. Their secret is a standard industry practice called binning. When Apple prints their ultra-expensive A18 Pro chips for the premium iPhone 16 Pro lineup, the manufacturing process is almost never 100% perfect. It is the silicon lottery. A large chunk of those chips come off the assembly line with minor microscopic flaws. Usually, one of the 6 graphics cores just refuses to wake up and work. Now, back in the early days of broadband, companies would just toss these slightly imperfect chips into the recycling bin. But Apple got incredibly smart. They took those leftover chips, the ones with only 5 working graphics cores instead of 6, and repurposed them. Because these bin chips were essentially free for Apple, a byproduct of their iPhone manufacturing, they could slap them inside a sleek, fanless laptop chassis and sell them at a massive profit. It was an absolute win-win scenario. Students and budget-conscious professionals got a cheap, reliable Apple computer, and Apple recycled their silicon waste into hundreds of millions of dollars. But the plan worked a little too well. The MacBook Neo became an absolute runaway hit. And according to Tim Culpin, a highly respected former Bloomberg reporter who has deep, verified connections inside the Asian supply chains, Apple is now facing a massive dilemma. The demand for the current Neo is so phenomenally high that Apple is rapidly burning through their entire stockpile of these binned A18 Pro chips. You might be thinking, well, just call up the factory and order more, right? But the tech world does not work like a late-night fast food drive-thru. The manufacturer TSMC is currently operating at maximum capacity. Their multi-billion-dollar production lines are completely booked up printing cutting-edge silicon for the rest of the world. If Apple wants to force them to print older, bin chips just to satisfy the Neo demand, they would have to pay a massive premium. And paying a premium completely destroys the sweet profit margins that make a budget laptop possible in the first place. So Apple is in a remarkably tough spot. They have to figure out how to keep their most popular device alive without cannibalizing their own bottom line. But contrary to the frantic rumors floating around certain corners of the internet, they are not panic launching a new device this year. Culpin's latest newsletter confirms that the supply chain is diligently preparing for the MacBook Neo 2 to arrive next year in 2027. And when it does arrive, it is going to bring exactly what power users and tech veterans have been begging for. According to reliable sources, the core of the Neo 2 will be a binned version of the newer A19 Pro chip. This is the exact same silicon family that powers the current iPhone 17 Pro models. What's interesting here is that the most important upgrade has absolutely nothing to do with raw processing speed. It is all about the unified memory. The first generation Neo shipped with a strict, non-negotiable limit of 8 GB of RAM. For typing essays, managing basic spreadsheets, and light web browsing, it works perfectly fine. However, Culpin's report confirms that the A19 Pro architecture naturally comes paired with 12 GB of unified memory. Jumping from 8 to 12 gigs on a budget Mac is a fundamental, game-changing upgrade. Let me explain exactly why this matters so much without relying on complicated jargon. Think of your RAM like a physical wooden desk. When you boot up macOS, the operating system itself instantly takes up half of that desk just to organize background tasks and keep the computer running smoothly. On an 8 GB machine, you're left with a tiny little corner of desk space to actually open your apps, email clients, and web pages. If you try to open too much, say a dozen heavy Chrome tabs, a 4K YouTube video, and a massive Excel file, the system runs out of physical desk space. It then has to constantly swap files back and forth to your hard drive, which causes those annoying stutters, spinning beach balls, and loading delays we all despise. But bumping that base memory to 12 GB means your usable desk space essentially doubles. You will have vast amounts of breathing room. You can keep heavy browsers open, run background applications, and jump between intensive documents without the laptop ever freezing up or breaking a sweat. 12 GB is rapidly becoming the true sweet spot for modern, everyday computing, and getting it natively on a budget machine is nothing short of incredible. Reminds me of the time we first saw the original iPhone in 2007. it shifts the baseline of what we expect from entry-level tech. There is a slight catch to all of this, though. Right now, the entire tech industry is dealing with a global RAM shortage. PC manufacturers everywhere are facing significantly higher costs for memory components. So the biggest question heading into 2027 is whether Apple can maintain that magical $599 price tag. Because they rely on those essentially free bin smartphone chips, they have a massive financial cushion that other legacy PC companies simply do not have. If anyone can absorb the rising cost of RAM and keep the price perfectly flat for the consumer, it is Apple. This could actually matter because if they pull it off, it puts massive pressure on the entire Windows laptop market. Now let us talk about real-world performance. The real magic of putting an iPhone chip into a laptop body is sustained speed. The A19 Pro is originally engineered to run inside a tiny sealed glass and titanium phone without bursting into flames in your pocket. It is hyper-efficient. When you take that exact same efficient architecture and place it inside a spacious aluminum laptop chassis, it has massive amounts of room to breathe. This means the Neo 2 will not just be fast for the first 5 minutes of a task. Most cheap Windows laptops start to overheat, spin up whiny fans, and throttle their performance the moment you push them. But this A-series Mac will cruise along completely silent, delivering peak performance all day long. You get sustained, fluid speed whether you're working for 10 minutes or 10 hours. Those of us who remember the Nokia 3310 era know how rare it is to find hardware that actually refuses to die or slow down. And because that chip sips power so slowly, the battery life is going to remain absolutely legendary. The first model easily pushes up to 16 hours of continuous video playback. With the refined A19 Pro architecture, you can confidently leave your charger at home and survive 2 full days of heavy workflow without even glancing at the battery percentage. Finally, this push to 12 gigabytes of memory is directly tied to the future of Apple's software. Apple is pushing their on-device artificial intelligence features incredibly hard right now. Running heavy AI models locally requires a lot of temporary memory. By upgrading the Neo 2 to 12 gigs, Apple is ensuring that even their most budget-conscious customers can run Apple Intelligence smoothly, securely, and entirely on-device, without relying on sluggish, privacy-compromising cloud servers. So those are the confirmed facts straight from the supply chain. No early releases, no crazy internet conspiracies, just a brilliant recycling strategy that worked a little too well, leading to a massive, highly anticipated memory upgrade next year. If Apple manages to hold the line on that $599 price point, the MacBook Neo 2 will absolutely dominate the budget market for years to come. But I want to pass the question over to you guys. Are you trying to grab the current A18 model while it is still in stock and available, or are you holding onto your cash for that massive 12GB memory upgrade in 2027? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. If you found this no-nonsense breakdown helpful, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. I will keep tracking these supply chain reports and bring you the verified details the second they drop. Stay safe out there, stay tech savvy, and I will catch you in the next video 3.